Hi everybody. Just wanted to come online with a quick update. I know that a lot of people reacted to my post. I saw over 1,200 reactions, exposures, impressions. So I'm very grateful. I'm really humbled. But it also shows that what I share resonates with so many people in America and across the world. It's what we're facing is global tyranny. I jotted a couple notes here while the hearing is fresh in my memory. So I went in front of Judge Janet McFarland again, Richmond County Family Court. I have to preempt and say that this video, as all of my videos and all my writings, are protected by the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. What I'm doing is nothing more, nothing less that another journalist would do. I'm a citizen journalist. What I'm saying is not something that should be used or could be used against me. I'm not talking about my children, not mentioning their names, not talking about the other party. I'm talking about the court and the oppression that I'm facing coming from a tyrannical judge and the layers of oppression that the government and the state built around her. So the hearing today was focused on the service of a counter petition from the other side, which was not served properly. I requested the traverse hearing. During that hearing, Janet McFarland continued to commit multiple violations of due process, and that's what they do, right? So your substantial rights are bled dry by violations of your procedural rights, and it continued as I have been documenting all along. Janet McFarland did not allow a parallel online link for people to court watch. Tens of people actually confirmed their interest. They would join if that option would be open, which was in this case was particularly ridiculous. Right across the hallway, the supervising judge of the court, Alison Hamanjian, conducted a separate hearing in which I court watched, and that hearing actually was open to the public. Anyone could join, also online, physically and online. Now, what it means is that Janet McFarland doesn't care about her supervising judge, but also that the supervising judge doesn't care about Alison Hamanjian, doesn't care what a judge in her court, my judge in my case, Janet McFarland, does. Completely ridiculous. They do whatever they want. There's no accountability at any level. Judge McFarland continued to intimidate the court watchers. She asked for their names on the record. This time I objected in a stern fashion. I said it is illegal, that's not permitted under Section 4 of the judiciary law. She countered, she tried to argue with me, saying that it's my decision, it's my courtroom, basically something like that. I want to know if they're witnesses or not. And I said, I'm stating on the record that these people are not witnesses. They will not be called as witnesses in the case, even though that's another legal requirement. And she relented. She did not insist on that. So that was a small procedural win after many hearings in which that part was violated as well. Other procedural issues. Some court people who were present in the court were wearing masks, which is ridiculous. The judge was not wearing a mask. I wasn't wearing a mask. This whole circus, right? I objected to that as well. Especially in the courtroom, judges need to be able to recognize facial cues, but it wasn't done. She saw no problem with that. McFarland. When the attorney for the children, Rita Kaufman, who was wearing a mask, talked, she was muffled. It was hard to discern what she's saying, and that's again is done on purpose, right? Again, nothing bothered Janet McFarland. What happened, in addition, was as follows. I asked the attorney for the children; these are my children. I asked to provide full information about the meetings that the AFC had with them. The timing, details pertaining to her ostensible representation of their interests. There was a letter that I sent to her, to the AFC. Now, the AFC was clearly annoyed by the fact that I requested the information. She asked McFarland to rule on it. There was nothing to rule on, but despite that, McFarland did rule and said, that's the denied. What denied? I said, what is denied? There's nothing in front of the court. If Rita Kaufman refuses to provide information and then I will consider submitting the motion to the court and asking the court to rule on that. But again, that's a ridiculous part of appearing in this circus, which is the court rules on motions, petitions, documents. They're not in front of the court, right? And the same thing happened with the violation of my rights and my children's rights, right? So the children were taken away without a petition. It was just paka. It was just blah blah talking, right? There was no petition. There was no hearing. They were taken away on another concocted false allegation, which was completely refuted by universally hated ACS, right? It was completely vindicated even by another judge, Judge Harris, and the children were never returned to me to the previous schedule. Now, why it's done? It's done in order to exert pressure on me, right? And to make me comply, to close the case without going to trial, and for less work for McFarland. That's unbelievable. So another instance, another due process violation, ruling on something that's not in front of the court. There's no paper. It's unbelievable abuse of process, if you can call it a process. Now, I have submitted another complaint. I posted it online as well against McFarland to CJC, which is another dysfunctional, subverted institution, because she violated the same Section 4 of the judiciary law before, kicked out court watchers, court observers, taxpayers of New York, not opened in the link now, not opened in the link before. I also stated in my recent complaint the continued violation of CPLR 2219. That's a provision that requires the judge to render a decision on a motion asking for a provisional remedy within 20 days. Now, what she and other judges, but particularly McFarland in this case, repeatedly, egregiously, does not provide decisions. Not only doesn't she provide decisions within 20 days as required by law, she doesn't even schedule them. So there was another topic continued here again. There's another pending appeal on her decisions. There's a leave to appeal pending in front of the Court of Appeals, the highest court of New York. I stated all of it in front of her, but she continues to roll forward. All the time, the guards are shouting. A female guard was staying by McFarland. Another guard was staying to my left. Another guy to my right. I didn't see how many were behind me. I think I estimate about 5 or 6. They all are shouting, talking over me, berating me for talking over the judge while they are talking over the judge. It's again the metaphor that I mentioned that comes to mind is complete slaughterhouse. The whole goal is to discombobulate you, disorient you, right? It's completely humiliating. This whole experience is unbelievably humiliating. So when I was making my case, McFarland started playing with her phone, completely disrespectful. I asked her to maintain, please, I would say I would appreciate an eye contact, and she rolled her eyes. Apparently she never heard something like that before. It shows you how tyrannical, how familiar with no pushback, these judges are. She stopped me in the middle of my arguments because she didn't like what I was saying and said the hearing is adjourned, the record is closed, and from that moment on, I was almost physically pushed out of the courtroom. Now, what happened is that once, and that's a very emotional, it's an experience even for those who are familiar with the setting, right? Like I've been fighting for my fatherhood, for the right of my children to have a father for over 5 years. It's still a very upsetting experience. When I exited the courtroom, I noticed that everybody else remained. So the opposing party stayed in the courtroom. Her attorney stayed in the courtroom. The attorney for the children stayed in the courtroom. And of course, McFarland was there. Why were they there? What they were talking about, I have no idea, because they closed the record, right? It was completely improper, completely illegal, but it shows you how the dealings done in family court. Simply unbelievable. Now, I also need to pay for the proportion that was covered by a recording. Hopefully, I need to pay hundreds of dollars for the transcript. I paid only thousands of dollars for the transcript, as if our taxes are not enough, federal and state taxes. This is unbelievable. When I noticed that everybody else, this whole, I would refrain from saying what I think about them, group remained in the courtroom. I knocked on the door, right, and I said, what is going there? And I think 5 or 6 guards jumped on me. One of them particularly all of them invaded my personal space, but one of them got physical with me. He pushed me almost violently, right? He became physical with me for nothing, right? For no reason at all. And that's particularly shameful because the guards are the lowest rung in this pyramid of control, right? But you can see that they're gleeful, they're smirking when they talk over you, you know, they're provoking, they're looking for a confrontation, and they're doing the bidding of these tyrants in black robes. That's unbelievable. These people will be the first to be thrown under the bus when the tyranny completely takes over. It's so shameful, and it's unbelievable. For what? For a meager paycheck. Just unbelievable deterioration in every aspect. So, bottom line, Judge McFarland continued to violate basic due process guarantees. I exposed her as giving illegal donations, violation of basic procedure. If you or I continually miss deadlines in our job, we would be fired, right? But she is allowed to just roll past CPLR 2219 deadlines, right? Not to adjudicate motions, not to schedule them time after time, right? Drag the case, and suddenly the trial is very important for her, right? I exposed that, and I did the first ever, I think, in the history of New York, quantitative analysis showing that about 40% of cases in front of McFarland are more than 10.5 months old. She drags the cases. Each case represents broken children, broken parents. That's the shattered existence, right, in this continuous limbo of not having normal access to your own offspring. It's unbelievable. So if you and I miss the deadlines, we would be fired. She is allowed to do that, right? Why? No accountability whatsoever. Making decisions like today again, without any papers, without any motion, any petition in front of her, out of thin air. I exposed that she lied in her annual statement about her role. You can see a proud picture of her as a proud feminist with no men in sight, right? But she's still adjudicating cases in family court when you have to be at least somewhat reasonable, right? With men and women appearing in front of her. That's apparently it's completely normal. Why? Because it's ideology promoted from the bench by full subversion, as they speak in other videos in the post that I make. So I don't know why she clings to my case. Bottom line, I don't have normal access to my children still. I have some improved access, for which I'm grateful, but this is completely abnormal. There's no legal basis. After I was completely vindicated, there was no basis in the beginning, right? There was never a hearing. There's another scandal here in New York. You can, I'll make another video of that, about the Crawford memo that was obtained only through court proceedings by NYCLU. So the judges are compelled to do hearings in every case that affects your rights, children's rights, right? Basic freedoms. They don't do that. They don't do it when they decide to take the kids away, even temporarily, and all these temporary decisions, of course, turn to permanent. So I don't know why she clings to the case. It might be an ego issue. It might be that she got instructions from above. I have no idea. But bottom line, she's completely biased. She hates me. You can see it in her eyes, the facial expression, right? But she still sits on the case. I really don't understand what's going on and how long it will continue, but I'm committed to fighting it in every legal manner. Again, I have nothing personal against McFarland. She's completely inept as a judge. She needs to be removed. I exposed everything is documented. Nothing that I say is not supported by documentation and facts and law. So she knows that everything she does will not be overseen and supervised, right? Because above her, that's a Judge LaSalle's court, the intermediate appellate court here in New York. Judge LaSalle was rejected twice by New York Senate. He applied for the highest job, vacated by highest position as a chief judge, vacated by Di Fiore, not the disgraced judge. So you can see the whole New York system unraveling. These judges do whatever they want, especially in family court, and nobody supervises them. I'm sorry if I'm a little emotional, but that's still fresh in my memory, so I have to document it and put it out to the candid world. One critical thing that I'm still processing is that McFarland de facto allowed my kids to be injected with an untested concoction. That was her decision. The buck stops with her, and this presents real harm to my children. We are seeing, unfortunately, many fatalities, many lethal results for kids and for adults. I fought as much as I could from the legal perspective. I submitted an urgent motion, and she still allowed for that to happen. When I say she, that's McFarland. Now, McFarland could not care less about the substance of the PSYOP. Since some public people reach out to me, I know about at least one other case in which she ordered a father to go and take the children, pick up the children from an extracurricular activity while the prohibitions related to the PSYOP were in place. So she clearly doesn't care either side, right? She's a tyrannical judge, and it doesn't matter what harms the children, but the harmful results, that's the outcome of the way this court operates. So thank you very much for staying with me. Apologies for a bit of an emotional video. Thanks for all the prayers. Thanks for all the support. I'm really grateful. Thanks everyone, and have a great weekend.